Okay, so I think I'm gonna start this series called You Better Check Yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I was getting on here for one thing and then I decided to get on for both things. So here's the check yourself. So I'm the type of person who likes to talk a lot. A lot. I'm also the type of person who's very resourceful and I have a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of things. I also could learn a lot, so I'm always open to learn. I do have this very bad habit that if you start saying something or if I heard you say it, then I've already heard your take on it. I pretty much don't need it repeated. Even though I do it, I don't need to repeat it. And so I'll sit there and as you're telling me, I'll start feeling like, okay, let me cut the small things. I think that comes from the fact that I talk a lot. And because I talk a lot or because I really have the solution or I'm ready to move forward, it's not that I'm just disregarding the person, but I am. But it's like, oh, I already have that information. I already put that in my database. I already put that, I already figured out how I'm going to work that in, whatever, that's going to be work with you or work against you. And so my mind is already processing it. And so it cuts people off and people think that I haven't heard what they say. So then I'll get frustrated with them and go, okay, repeat it. And they'll tell me, and in my head, it's like a little man sitting there going, already got that part, already got that part. I've already acknowledged that part to you. I've already said yes. I've already said yes, that's a good idea, or whatever I've said. And so when I'm hearing it again, it's like, okay. And so I'm going to check myself before I wreck myself because I'm offending people. And so that's a really hard habit to get out of because I've been doing it for years, of having the intuition to feel people as they get ready to say it or hearing it before. So it's like, oh, okay, this is a redundancy. I already know your take. So I'm going to figure out what to do to make sure I don't wreck myself with that, because I don't want people to feel offended and like I'm not paying them any attention. On the flip side, here's this. So I get very offended when I don't think people are paying me any attention. Go figure. And it may not be that people have the same kind of wisdom and discernment that I do to say, oh, I know what she's going to say or whatever. It's more of just the fact that it's a childhood trigger for me. And so because it's a childhood trigger for me, one, I've always had to know things in order to be recognized in the family. So that's why I'm quick on it. And two, for me to say something, remember, I was the youngest child and everybody did things that I couldn't be around. So my voice was never heard. So I do talk a whole lot, and that's why I've chosen careers that I can talk. Although as a therapist, as a counselor, as having clients, I'm very attentive, pay a lot of attention. With family and friends, not so much. And I can't say that I'm not attentive to them. I've heard it, so I understand it. I've grasped it. And I guess I get really irritated with the fact that they think I didn't get it the first time. I did. And maybe it's because we're on different wavelengths. When I'm telling somebody something, they don't get it the first time or the second time. And sometimes the third time. Sometimes I'll say something and they'll say, you never told me that. And I'll go, I told you like 5 times. And so for me, I'm very redundant and repeating because I'm used to people disregarding me. And so I get really frustrated and angered by people just disregarding me, going, and won't let me talk. And I'll just be like, you know what? And it takes me to a whole nother level. So I don't really know what to do. For you, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because if somebody's trying to talk to you and they're trying to get their emotions out or express something that they feel is like, oh, I agree with you, and you still cut them off, we're really good. And the reason I want to start this check yourself is because we're really good at pointing out other people's flaws, but we're not really good at pointing out our own flaws. Or we'll acknowledge them and just kind of push them to the side as though it's not important. And so my flaws are really important because I'm trying to figure out how to become a better me. And so when I first said, man, I got to do this, check yourself or you wreck yourself, was because somebody did it to me and it hurt my feelings like crazy. Like it wasn't even something that I thought should have been an issue. It was like, oh, well, you know what? It's not even that serious. I'm not angry. I don't want us to start an argument. And immediately they took off, went somewhere else with it. And I was sitting there going, but that's not what I'm trying to say. But that's not what I'm trying to say. But that's not what I'm trying to say. Because it wasn't. I don't have ego issues. So if you call me on it and you say, Tanetta, it's because of this, it's because of that, I'll go, okay, you feeling me. You hearing me. I take it as a compliment because you're knowing me on a different level. But if I say that's not what I'm trying to say, don't squash it and just say, oh, well, you know what? Just to keep things calm, we're just not going to talk about it at all. No, because just like you want to be heard, I want to be heard. And so, yeah, you may sit down and talk and listen to somebody for a long time. But at the end of the day, they want the same things. So it's got to work both ways. And if somebody's listening to you, don't disregard it. If somebody's remembering what you said, if somebody's going, okay, let me repeat what you've said because I did get it, and they repeat it correctly, give them that. That means they're totally in tune with what you're saying, what you're feeling. They're having the capacity to have empathy and compassion for what you're going through. Even if they're not in agreement with it, it means they got you. But check yourself. Can you do the same thing? Can you understand somebody else? And for me, let me be a little bit more patient with hearing you out. Only thing is, if you know me and I say, you know, you've told me that like 4 or 5 times. You know, you told me that 4 or 5 times. All right. So it's important that people know that they're heard. It's also important that you recognize that they're hearing you. All right. Well, let's learn how to not keep pointing the fingers at everybody else while all the other ones are coming back at you. So let's check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. I have bloopers all day long. Don't even trip. And I've learned that I'm not even fixing them. I'm just going to be practical me. Yeah. Take care of you.